everybody. Good morning. I know we're getting to the end of the program, so I'll try not to keep you too long. But I just want to say that for me, it's just such a privilege to be here. I'm going to be 2 years on the job in a couple of weeks. And when I come out to the districts that actually represent the MECO program, it almost brings tears to my eyes. It really, truly does when I see that communities had to open up their doors because of the inequality that was happening in the schools, in the Boston area, back when the civil rights movement was active, and the fact that it's still happening today, that we're still here actively working on the same issues 53 years later. There's still a lot of work to be done, but I thank the Wakefield community for opening up your doors, and for the leadership. I've been working very closely with Doug, who's an incredible superintendent who reaches out to me regularly when he has to make decisions about what's best for the school and the students. So I just want to thank you for, this is my first keynote in one of the MECO districts, so I'm very excited about that. And I wanted to start, one of the things that really grounds me is it's my belief in God, and I want to start off with a couple of scriptures that have really grounded me in my work. One of the scriptures that have always helped me when I enter something big in my life has been 1 Chronicles 4, 9, 10. Chapter 4, verse 9 and 10. And the reverends here, do you know which one that is? Reverends, tell me which one it is. Popular one. Anybody know? The prayer of Jabez. I love this prayer. So it basically says, "Oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my territory. Let your hand be with me and keep me from harm so that I will be free from pain." And I think about this scripture a lot because when I was approached about the MECO job, I was already retired. I was in my early 40s. I had worked 20 years at ABCD, at an anti-poverty agency in Boston, and my husband had just gotten a job to be a headmaster at a high school in Charlestown. And we had 2 small children who complained that we were never home. So between his job and my job, we always had an evening meeting, a holiday meeting, and a weekend meeting. Never failed. So I said, you know what, this is 20 years is good. I can use my skill sets to go do some consulting, and I can then support my husband, who really wanted to turn this school around. It was one of his... We gotta leave. So basically, I said I was gonna go ahead and do consulting and let him do his job and volunteer my kids' school. I go to the MECO program as well. I'm a MECO mom in Brookline, and I had realized that every time I would go into the school, I never really saw myself represented in all the years. I have a 14 and 11-year-old. So one of the first things that I started to do was talk to the administration about how do we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, because I never saw myself in that school when I walked in, and minimally can we start with at least that one month. But life had another plan for me. So that same year when I had retired to go do this work, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I spent the next 3 years of my life undergoing chemo, undergoing about 3 surgeries, double mastectomy, reconstruction, pills, everything that you can imagine. I was a walking skeleton, and literally had no hair, no eyelashes, no eyebrows. It was just really, it was horrific just seeing myself in that light, and the depression that I was going through, that I just couldn't snap out of it. And then right after I finished all of that, I get the call from the search firm about this job. And I said, "You must be kidding." I was like, "I'm retired, I gotta go." I was like, "I don't want to go back to work yet." And then I remembered this scripture about enlarging my territory, and I said, you know what, it's not my job to decide where my next move is going to be. I was like, my job is to follow where God is leading me. And if all I can do is knock on the doors, answer the phone call, go to the interview, answer the questions, and do my part, because if God wanted me to be there, He's gonna make that happen. And that scripture reminded me of what does God want to do with my life? And what He wants to do to enlarge the territory. And I realized that, if I go back to work, it had to be something big. It had to be something really impactful, really meaningful. And I was like, wow, the MECO program, one of the few voluntary school desegregation programs in the nation, and the largest one to this date. In 33 communities, we are bringing over 3,100 children every single day to integrate communities so that we know that when we go out into a global economy, not everything has to look one way. So I said, okay, God, I said, you got me through the cancer. I don't know how much more I have, but you got me through this, and you're enlarging this territory, and let's see how we can enlarge the territory of the districts where we are. Like Doug was saying, that is one of the things that I really want to encourage our communities to do. It just can't be about putting a kid in a classroom or on a bus. We have to do better, and we have to do more. The territory has to continue to be enlarged even more. What are we doing to really create a welcoming community? So I think about another scripture that was also very meaningful to me. And that scripture is 2 Samuel 24:24. I'm going to ask the preachers again in this room. Do you know which one that is? Anybody know? Okay, then I think I need to go to divinity school. I may take your job away. Okay, so that other scripture is, I will give to God that which costs me nothing. And I think about all of you here. I think about the commission over here that's trying to do service. But I also think about Dr. King and how many times when he was interviewed about the risk he was taking with his job, and he acknowledged that his life and the life of his family was in danger, and he said he knew this, and his house was bombed, was put on fire, but he still continued to do the work. Coretta kept it right there with him. Coretta continued to do the work and said this must be done. Even when he sent her away for days after his house was bombed, she came back 2 days later because she said, we know that what we got ourselves into. So he gave the ultimate sacrifice. He gave his own life. And then I think about the bus boycotts down south, and how when Rosa Parks stood up and said, no, I'm not gonna give up my seat, and how that just started a whole new movement through the civil rights movement. It was an additional task that needed to be done to integrate and to desegregate the busing. And you know what the Black community did? For 13 months, they all gathered together and they decided not to take any public transportation because they knew that how was the white community gonna make a change if it hurts in the economics, in the finances. And the Black community was the big user of the transportation system. So for 13 months, they didn't take the bus, and they won that battle. And they won that battle, but it didn't come at no cost. They had to carpool. They had to walk long distances. They had to get creative with all the different modes of transportation to make that happen. So I say that scripture as well because not everything that brings about change and not every service is going to come easy. It's going to cost us something, but guess what? The best benefits of any movement is when people work really hard and sacrifice themselves, and then something great happens. It can't just happen from just whatever is easy on your way home. When you're doing favors, when you're doing things, you have to think about how much discomfort is it causing you. How easy is it to have that conversation? How many hours do you have to put in? And those are the ones that are going to give you the greatest results. I think about Dr. King's speech about I have a dream. And he said that I have a dream that one day we will live in a nation where my kids will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And I have a dream that little Black boys and little Black girls will join hands with little white boys and little white girls as sisters and brothers. And that is my dream too. When I think about the MECO program, I was like, when are we gonna see more friendships? When are we gonna see people being more open? When are we gonna see less microaggressions, less stereotypes? When are we gonna see the suburban families coming to Boston too? We have a lot of work to be done. And I think about Dr. Martin Luther King and his dream, and I wonder if he looks down at us, does he feel like it's been fulfilled? Like everybody said here today, we've done a lot. We've done a lot of work, but there's still a lot of work to be done. I do this job every day with a sense of urgency, and mostly because of my cancer history. I never know, what's going to happen. I lost my mother last year to the same breast cancer that I have. So people tell me, why do you move so fast, Millie? You're doing too much. You just got here. Get to know the program more. But I'm like, hey, tomorrow's not promised. If I could do something today, we're going to get it done. So there's no time to spare for all of us. Whatever needs to be done, we should be doing it without any hesitation. And Martin Luther King's last sermon is what everybody's talking about today, that everybody can serve. It's almost like he knew he had to leave us a message that will be timeless and priceless. MECO was created out of the civil rights movement and expanded to other communities and enlarged its territories. But you know when MECO actually increased its MECO districts? After the assassination of MLK. After he passed away, after he was assassinated, we started the MECO program with 12 communities, and now we have 33. And the highest peak on the expansion of the MECO program's territory was after the assassination of Martin Luther King. And it makes sense. People felt grief. People felt they needed to act. People wanted to do something radical to really show people that, hey, we are going to open up our doors and we are going to do whatever it takes to really integrate and bring education equality that he was fighting for. That is when the MECO program grew out of that tragedy. And then I think about all of the evil groups right now that are sparking up everywhere. I think about the word activation, how they're activating cells are being activated right now. Terrorist cells, school shootings, synagogue shootings, church shootings, black men shootings. And then I think about how can we activate for the good. I want to thank the Wakefield community for activating the ideals of inclusion for 50 years ago started the MECO program here. I want to thank Doug, Superintendent Doug, for his friendship and his desire to do right by the program. I want to welcome our new MECO director, Glavia, who is here full of energy, ready to do the work that needs to be done. I want to thank Representative Wong and Senator Lewis for advocating for us and approving the state line item every year that makes the MECO grant happen. It is a MECO state line item that every single year we have to advocate for this, and I want to thank your two legislators for making sure that Wakefield is always on that ballot. And I want to thank Pina and the Wakefield Human Rights Commission for holding the town accountable to be aware of issues of human rights. With asking a question for us. What else can we do? Perhaps we can fill up the State House on Advocacy Day on March 19th in support of the MECO program and in support of school equality and school integration. It's always the Boston families that show up to these events, and we hardly have any of the white communities there. We are the ones that are voting for their legislators, right? So we need you there so that you can show your legislator who's the one that has to put this on the line item that you care about this program. We can ensure that we have an active Friends program so that Dr. King's dream about little black girls and little white children can actually hold hands and become brothers and sisters. I don't know how active your program is here if you have one, I'm not sure, but many MECO communities are trying to expand those friendship groups, because it's not easy to take a bus over here and play a sport and stay in the school play and do what you have to do and stay in a class to prepare for SAT if you don't have a friend in town that can actually help you out. It's not easy. So maybe perhaps we can do a Friends program. We can participate in the racially conscious performances that MECO is doing called MECO Presents, where we go to downtown Boston to the Paramount Theater, and we only choose performances about race relations. And we follow all of those performances with a reception afterwards. It is my minimum expectation when I talk to the theater. I say, I don't want free tickets to a show. I want to be able to have a dialogue and a discourse after a thought-provoking performance about what we can do to become a better society, and we only pick shows that have to do with race relations. Perhaps you'll join us one of these days. It's all on our website, echoing.org. We can also ensure that our classrooms are not only inclusive, meaning there's a child there that's diverse in the classroom, but is it actually welcoming? Do the kids see themselves represented in the curriculum, in the walls, in the teachers that teach them? I know we can do better in that area. Can we ensure that our neighborhoods, and this is not for the whole town, whether you're an educator or not, but can we ensure that the whole neighborhood is more diverse by having equitable housing practices? You guys know that redlining was what kept people of color out of these neighborhoods, but we can do something about it now. Just last week, I put in my newsletter that the Boston Housing Authority just passed a new proposal that they will match any rent in any suburban community and give you the market rent that you're looking for, as long as you open up the doors for people with Section 8 vouchers, so that they can also have access to equitable education in their own neighborhood. So, Wakefield, we have gone a long way, but we can do more. Let's roll up our sleeves. Let's activate, because everybody can be great, because everybody can serve. Thank you, Wakefield.